Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Live Repurpose Live, where we inspire you to live on purpose and create a life that you love by design. My name is Lissa Figgins, and it's my mission to help after 40 women like you to design your life in 7 key areas so that you are always increasing your balance, your growth, and your impact. And it's my intention each and every week to introduce you to an amazing woman who is also on this journey and inspiring others on this journey as well. So today, I'm excited to introduce my friend, Theresa. Theresa Vermillion is a lighter life coach and the author of the book, Micro Shift. What I love is that when she was a physical trainer, she noticed that just diet and exercise was not enough for most people to reach their health and weight goals. And really, there was this emotional component that was not getting the attention that it needed. And so she now has developed programs and supports women to help you to have the tools you need to really understand your emotions and to shift your mindset so that you can end that struggle once and for all with being overweight and overwhelmed. So Theresa, this is such a fun topic, but I want to hear a little bit more about you and your journey and how you got to where you are today in serving people. So introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about, how you've come to this place of helping women in this area.
Well, thank you. I am Theresa Vermillion, and thank you for having me on. And I think I appreciate you asking about my journey because it really is how I got to where I am. So I was teaching elementary school, and we started moving from my husband's job at the same time we started having kids. So I had 3 kids and several moves in just a few short years. And the next thing you know, you're taking care of everybody else. I'm overweight. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know how to make changes, even if I wanted to make changes, and I can't stop the world long enough to figure out how to change. And eventually, the kids got into grade school, and it was like, okay, I can do something. But it was you still wanted to be there to be able to take care of everybody. And so I became a certified personal trainer because I knew it would force me to walk the talk. And then I always, I really enjoyed that kind of knowledge and study and movement and how it all works together. And from there, just keeping that certification current, I became a certified health coach, which was also very exciting. And then my world opened up to this coaching world of dealing with things we don't even realize we haven't dealt with. It's like when we're snapping at our kids or our husbands, which we never mean to do, but like what's triggering that? Why we can't stay on our diets? Not only are they, I'm sure we'll get into the fact that they're restricting calories and things like that, but it's not that we can't stay on our diets. It's like we're not dealing with how we're feeling. So we just try to numb that with emotions. I'm getting way ahead of myself. So the life coaching piece I just found works really beautifully. If we could talk about why we're eating, because we all know what to eat. We don't have to read articles. We can read headlines and we know what to eat and what to not eat, right? So that's clearly not the issue, or we wouldn't still have an obesity problem in this country.
Yes, I find that so often we know, like you said, we know what to do, right? But we don't do it. And so there's this knowing doing gap. And I love the fact that that's where you are going, is to what's that gap? Because you're right. I think every single person right now who's listening to this could list off all the things they should be eating and all the things they probably shouldn't be eating. And yet that doesn't always change things when we're in the moment to make those decisions. Right. So I love the fact that we're coming to the mindset, because I truly believe with everything that we do, it's about having that right mindset that drives our actions.
Yes.
So let's dive into that.
We always
one of the things you brought up that I want to start with is the fact that as women, we tend to take care of everyone else before ourselves. So let's talk a little bit about how that may lead into this kind of a mindset, or a woman getting to the place like where you were, where all of a sudden you're looking at yourself going, wow, I really am not in the health and shape that I want to be. But I don't know how to stop the world with everything that I'm doing. So why do you think that is such an issue for women? And what do we do when we're feeling in that place where it's like, I don't have time for me. It's about, I just have all these people to serve, and we're in that sometimes a victim mindset.
Yeah, that's a really good way to describe it. And you simply said it a few minutes ago. That is in our minds. there's like there's the reality piece of it, because reality is we've got kids to take care of, and at the same time, if we're thinking this is too hard, I'm overwhelmed, there's too much to do, I can't food prep, I don't have time to figure out what to do. Well, those are all thoughts live in our minds. And if we choose to believe those, then that's where we're going to stay. And if we choose to be like, I'm going to figure this out, it's baby steps. Like one of the stories I'll share with people is, I used to, when I would do the grocery shopping for my family, you like run through the produce, pick up apples and bananas and oranges, carrots, and keep going. And how much I didn't even realize it's, but over time, I realized I spend so much time in the produce area. I'll pick out new things. I'll load my grocery cart, will be half full with produce. That didn't happen the first week I decided to change anything, but realizing like, oh, not only, you follow the people and you pick up tidbits and you try things, and we're still doing that. So that's fun too.
It's interesting because it takes the same amount of energy to pick up the bag of apples from the produce section as it does to pick up the package of cookies off that shelf. So, I think sometimes we think, oh, this is just a really hard thing, or I don't know that I can do this, or I have the bandwidth for this. And yet it really is just, am I choosing this or am I choosing this, and making a choice in the direction that we want to go. Would you agree?
Yes, 100%. And I'll tell you, let's be super honest. Like I have this figured out, but I'm still don't have it figured out. I'm still learning, I'm still growing. I don't follow this 100% of the time. It's not like but and for an example, my own mentality, you'd be like, okay, I really want a salad, but I'm starving right now. And it takes too long to chop lettuce and make a salad. I'm going to rip open a bag of chips because that's fast and I'm hungry now. Or you pour that glass of wine because, sometimes we are hungry, and so we go to the things, the wine first because we don't realize we're hungry or we're tired. Sometimes it is a physical trigger, not always an emotional trigger. But yeah, it's like we want to do the quick fix.
Yes.
Just to deal with what we've been dealing with all day. And so like, no, it doesn't take that long. Shifting that thought. It does not take that long to cut up lettuce. And I'll be so much happier and fuller, longer, and feel better about myself because I know, gave my body what it needed.
Exactly.
Than doing the quick, like, okay, but I'm just gonna eat chips until my salad's ready.
Right? Yeah, which isn't going to happen if we continue with that mindset. And that's why I love about how you talked about, just like what are we telling ourselves? If we're telling ourselves it's hard, then yeah, we're not going to feel like we have the time or the energy to do that. But if we're like, hey, eating healthy is easy, and that's the mindset that we go into it with, then it's going to be a lot easier to do. One of the things I love doing is I like having, things simple. I'm almost pretty boring. I have almost the exact same thing for breakfast every day and lunch every day. Dinner always, changes up. But for me, when I can take the decision fatigue out of my life, one less decision I have to make. In fact, I make my protein shake for breakfast the night before right when I wash, all the dishes from dinner. It's right there. So I just make it, stick it in the fridge. And then in the morning, there literally is nothing faster than me opening the fridge and grabbing that. So maybe it's, cutting up the lettuce ahead of time or cutting up the veggies, for a couple of days ahead, and just having it as easy as it's as easy to grab and go as it is the bag of chips, right?
Right. But how many of us say, I don't have time to food prep? We do. That's a thought too.
Right.
Or I can't spend all Sunday afternoon food prepping for the week. It's a great idea. And if it works for you, that's great. And and that goes to find what works for you. It's not, we do make it harder than it has to be also because, by saying, well, that's a great idea. I remember listening to a podcast once and this girl saying, do this and do that, and it was almost felt contradictory because her point was, you can do all the things and you can't take care of yourself. But I'm like, did you just hear how many things, you wanted us to do to make our lives better? I was like, oh, it was interesting.
And yet, how often do we have an all or nothing mentality? Well, if I don't have time to do it all and prep it all, then I'm not going to do anything. And I think sometimes, like what I hear you saying is just do something, So for example, maybe you'll just make 2 of something when you're making it one day, because it's the same amount of time and effort to make 2 of it as it is one. And then you stick it in the fridge. So it doesn't have to be like your whole entire week is prepped and labeled and, and sitting there. Maybe it's just, hey, while I'm cutting tomatoes, I'm going to cut more than we need for tonight's salad, and then I'll have some for the next time I want some. So,
Perfect. Yeah,
yeah.
love that. You're right. And we get stuck in that all or nothing, or that idea of perfect. Like, oh, I already, I ate a cookie after lunch. I might as well enjoy whatever I want the rest of the day and start again tomorrow.
Yes.
It's realizing every moment is that
it becomes a landslide, right? Like when we have that kind of mentality. I like to say, what's your next healthy choice? It doesn't matter what choices you made up until right in this very moment. What's the next healthy choice you can make? And then just make it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're ready for the next time that you're going to put something in your mouth, then make the next healthy choice and, go from there. So let's talk about like what you talked about, like having the cookie after lunch, because we have those times when, we have the cravings, or we think we need something, or we think it's going to make us feel better. And so let's talk about the emotions that might be tied to that, so that we're understanding maybe why we might be feeling that way. And then we can make more of an educated decision about whether or not having that is going to, help how we feel.
Yeah, 100%. Because I think we're so hard on ourselves as women. We have these wonderful goals. We're out there crushing life, taking care of our kids and families and everything. And yet we're so hard on ourselves, and feel like we're not really reaching our goals. And so a lot of times that mentality piece, it's usually a trigger, right? A lot of times our thoughts are our triggers. Like we said, like, well, I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. I'm going to have a piece of birthday cake. And then, it's that landslide, or, social media is triggering. Look, just all of the emotions we have in a day, whether somebody we love says something that's hurtful, or, somebody cuts us off in traffic, or, whatever, or we snapped at our kids when we didn't mean to, and we feel horrible about it all day long. It's being aware of those emotions. Most women our age were raised with a mentality of, suck it up, buttercup. You don't get to feel your emotions. You have to be tough. You have to put down your big girl panties, whatever we were told, and so we don't get to express that. Like, we don't know how to feel sad or mad or angry. And then it comes out, in a way, or we receive it in a way that things weren't intended. And then we're just triggered. We don't even know we're triggered. We just are. And that feels uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good to feel hurt on our bodies or have emotional pain. But since we don't even realize that's what we're doing, we want to feel better. So we go eat the chocolate, have the wine, get on social media, anything that's going to keep our brains from understanding we have emotional pain in our bodies. I used to really think that, like, since we were taught to just not feel those feelings. If you think of a 2-year-old that's having a temper tantrum, and how old were we were taught you're not allowed to have temper tantrums, right? Now, it's probably a good thing we don't have adults going around having temper tantrums. And at the same time, we were taught you can't feel your emotions, instead of being taught a healthy way to express those. Exactly. And so, that comes out then is trying to not even realizing, like, so I think I was going to talk about how feeling uncomfortable or feeling emotional pain in our bodies for whatever reason I thought was bad, because we weren't supposed to feel our feelings, right? And so you think you're bad if you feel something negative, and that's what we would describe as negative, really. Emotions are neither negative nor positive. They just are. And if we allow them, if we just sit in the shit for a minute, as we like to say, if we allow ourselves to have those uncomfortable emotions, in about 90 seconds they pass.
Exactly. Yes.
And so I'm not saying we shouldn't have emotions. Like, I had a moment yesterday morning where I was missing my dog again, and I was like, and that sucked. But I just like, let's just sit with it for a minute and feel sad.
Right. And I have to say, emotions are the signs. Like on your dashboard of your car, if you're driving down the road and one of those lights comes on, gas is low, or check engine, or windshield wiper fluid is out, or whatever. It doesn't, it's telling you what's going on inside of the vehicle. And so we should respond appropriately, right? If it says you're low on gas, then, deciding to go fill your windshield wiper fluid isn't going to help the problem that little flashing, bulb was showing you. And so, but so often we think that food or drink or things like that are going to fix our emotional problems. and are going to make us feel better. And maybe in the moment, there's that little bit of, oh, this cupcake just is so amazing or whatever it is.
Mhm.
But, usually an hour from then, it did not fix anything. Or probably back into that same emotion. Or by then we've, kind of one thing has led to the next with choices. And so then we're feeling different emotions about the choices we've made and where that's going. So I always like to say, think about like, how will you feel about this choice an hour from now, or, even tomorrow morning?
Yes.
Because oftentimes I think as women, especially, we just make emotional decisions based on how we feel in the moment and are not always thinking about, yeah, what is this going to look like tomorrow?
Right.
If I've chosen this today.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the things we talk about I talk about with my clients. It's like borrow from your future self. You're
Mm,
feeding the girl you want to become in 6 months. You're feeding her today.
yes.
What does she look like? Who is she? You have, give her today what you need to become that person that you're trying to become.
Yeah, I love that, because just like with finances, every time, you go to your bank account, you're either making you're either withdrawing or you're making a deposit. And so of course, what your account looks like after 6 months is going to be dependent on the fact, how many deposits, how many withdrawals you had, and what kind of choices you made. And the same thing is true with our health. If we want to have that good health, I like to call her our goal achieved self, right? Like, what would she do, say, thankfully? What would she tell you today, knowing that she wanted you to be able to be in that place, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, and then thinking about those choices now. So what about when you do have those moments and you do give in and you do, like, have something in an emotional time because that's just what you felt like and that's what you did? How would you recommend dealing with the emotions that maybe come after that? Maybe they come right away of just, oh, really, that wasn't a great choice. And then we kind of beat ourselves up, or like you said, open the door to, well, now that I've already thrown my diet out the window, I might as well do this, this, and this, and, eat today, and then I'll start over tomorrow. What would you say to that woman who, maybe struggles with that? Like, yeah, I keep just not making these healthy choices, and this feels like it's in a cycle.
Those are all thoughts.
Mm,
Those are all thoughts. I'm stuck in a cycle. I keep making unhealthy choices, and our body hears all that. So then we perpetuate, like, oh, well, if we keep making unhealthy choices, then that's what I'm going to do the rest of the day. And so I would offer to we really need to take a step back and like remove all the judgment from it. I had a great conversation about judgment this morning. There's a place for judgment in our lives. We use judgment when we're driving in traffic. We need to remove it from food. Food is not good or bad. We are not good or bad based on what we eat or don't eat. Food is one of the ways we can experience physical pleasure, and we've turned it into a punishment. I'm good, I'm bad. I was good all morning, so I can be bad tonight, or I was good all weekend, can be bad on the weekend. And if we can just step back, release all of that mentality, the morality, the judgment, and just accept ourselves and say, okay, that wasn't the healthy choice that is in alignment with who I'm becoming. I can choose differently next time, and just love yourself. Come at yourself from a place of love and abundance, and not scarcity or negativity or self hatred. I guess
I love that. And one of the things I like to say too, and remember myself, is that a healthy lifestyle includes planned indulgences. Now, I don't say planned indulgences are 2 seconds before it goes in your mouth as you're opening the chip bag. And now I'm planning to put this in my mouth. That's not what I mean by planned indulgence. But like you said, you're going to that birthday party and you want to celebrate, the birthday. Yes, have a piece of cake, but that doesn't mean you have to have everything on the smorgasbord, if that's what you choose. Or you're going to be going out to dinner with your husband, have the dessert or the glass of wine or that creamy sauce on, like almost like decide, where do I want to have a planned indulgence, and like look for those opportunities and then just savor and enjoy them. And know that this is maybe like 10% of my life, and but you've planned for that, and that having that healthy place for it.
And I would even offer, when we step into this place of being able to check in with our emotions on a more regular basis and know why we're choosing what we're choosing, then we're not even thinking of planned indulgences. We don't even have to allow for that, because then that indicates that we're still restricting in one place of our lives. And that, I feel like, that's not living elevated. For me, that's not living a lighter life. I want to live in a place of, is this something I want to put in my body right now? Or not, and move on. Am I doing this to numb out from an emotion that feels really uncomfortable? Yeah. Okay. Are you good? Then, and that, so we don't have, just like, no, I'm eating a cupcake or having the glass of wine or whatever because I feel like shit right now. Oops, I said it again. Or, like, yeah, okay, you know what? I'm mad because this happened or somebody said this to me. Does that matter? Am I going to let this affect me emotionally, or what emotions I need to process? And then you're like, okay, I'm good. Let's go eat my salad, or eat and choose that healthy choice. Then we're not even thinking about having to plan our indulgences.
Mm.
Is this going to be an indulgence if I eat this right now? Yes. Am I eating it to numb out feelings? No, I'm just indulging. Okay. And if we do that too much in a week or too much in a month, and then we feel uncomfortable in our clothes, we're like, maybe I need to rethink those indulgences when I get to them.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's always just being mindful, right? What's the emotion that's coming up? And then what's the best way to respond to this? What does my body truly need? I think it's always paying attention to, if our body's saying that, most of the time it's thirsty, and we mistakenly think that it's hunger. So we put food in our mouth first.
Yep.
So really just paying attention to, am I stressed? Am I bored? Am I anxious? Am I upset? Am I whatever? And noticing those things and then responding appropriately with the right tools that our body needs to be able to deal with what it is that it has. So I love that. So many great practical tips. And, this is something that, because food and how we take care of ourselves is from the day we're born, which, obviously from day one, we didn't choose everything, but most of our life we are choosing what goes in and on our body. And this is going to be something that's in front of us, until the last day that we have. So if someone wants to, learn a little bit more about your resources and how to work with you and what you have to offer, where can they go? Where can they find you? And what do you want to share about?
Yeah, they can reach out to me on Facebook, or send me an email. And I know all that, you'll have for them. They can get a free guide on how to do this, not even look at the emotion, but understand the trigger behind it, because that really can help us deal with that emotion. So that free guide is called It's Not About the Cupcake, and they can get that at itsnotaboutthecupcake.com. And my website is lighterlifecoach.com.
Fantastic. We will put those links in the resources in the notes section of this, so that if you're listening and you're driving or doing something else, you can go back in and grab those. And I highly recommend go grab those resources, because they are just tools that can really be helpful for you to really, not continue to feel like you're always struggling, in this area, but to really feel like you've got some resources to help you to make, some informed and healthy decisions, which is always, like we said, going to impact what you do from here on out. And I will also put the link to my Goal Achieve Girls to Be list. So often I think we just do. And I think one of the things that's come out of our conversation is it's about who we're being, and really going back to that mindset first and letting that mindset drive our choices and actions. So I will put that down in the comments as well, so that you can grab that and start thinking ahead about, what it would be like to show up as you with your goal achieved today, right? Kind of that future self concept of what would she be telling you today, and where would you put your focus, and what choices would you make? So thank you so much for being with us. I've been asking this question at the end of our interviews lately, because there are 7 areas that I like to talk about. And so I'm going to list those 7 areas for you and for our listeners. And I would love to hear which of these 7 areas would make the biggest difference for you if you really put some extra time and attention into that in this next year. So here are the 7 areas: faith, family, friends, your field of work, finances, fitness, which is anything health related, nutrition included, and fun. What would that one be for you?
I want to say faith, because I know that when I work on myself, I show up differently in the world. And as long as I'm continuing, for me, that's faith is a big part of that. It's about becoming who is showing up the way I want to be. I had a great conversation this morning. It was like we were talking about, and I know we're wrapping up. We were talking about people that have kind hearts, and does that just because we have a kind heart, does that mean it's okay to go around treating people? But it was actually just very reflective for me. It was kind of a mirror for me. Like, I have a really good heart. Is that showing up in my relationships? Is that showing up the way I think it needs to show up? Or am I saying, well, I have a really good heart, but I go around treating people really bad? That's not what that means. So the more work I do on myself, the better I can show up in the world.
I love that. There's a scripture that says, out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. So you can always tell what's going on in the heart of someone by what comes out of their mouth, right? So that's such a great place to end on, because it does matter. And that will then have a ripple effect into all those other areas of our life as well. So thank you so much, Theresa, for being with us today, for sharing your journey, for sharing your insights, for sharing your resources. And if you're listening, and I'm guessing this probably applies to 99.9% of us, that we struggle with this food issue in some way, shape, or form, to pause today and say, what do I want this area of my life to look like? And how can I start just taking one step towards that goal achieved girl that I want to be? So make sure you grab those links in the resources. And until next time, keep living out your purpose and creating a life you love by design. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.